Hello guys, I am back from another review, and today we're talking about what Deku was the Prince of Wrath. So in the last video, Deku, after being told by Aizawa that they're gonna be going to, to the, well, to Island for a party, well, all of them were pretty excited. So after Izuku called a pet sitter for his, well, pet manticores, they started going off to Island, which was, pretty, not awful, but a bit annoying because, Bakugo was a bit, prideful at the time. So, yeah. So, when they made it there, they rode on a limousine, which Izuku was not impressed because Izuku, seen better cars in hell. So, when they made it there, they basically just go to sleep, including the rest of the teachers. As in teachers, I mean Aizawa and All Might only. So, when they fell asleep, it's going to be the next day, being this video. So, yeah, so let's talk about what happens next. So, after waking up, they start going off to basically meet up with the leader of Island, being, what's his name? To meet with David Shield and Melissa Shield. So, when they made it to to a little park there, they met Miss Melissa and David Shield. David Shield welcomed everybody with open arms, as David Shield said this. So, you must be the son of the demon lord known as Azazel, right? Mr. Izuku? Yeah, it's nice to meet you, sir. As he says this. So, it's my first time seeing your kind here, and I want to have a little bit of, of a talk. I want to have some questions with you. So, Izuku was brought to a little, area where Izuku and, David Shield can talk. As Izuku says this. So, what is it, Mr. Shield? As he says this. Oh, don't worry, you can just call me David for now. As Izuku says this. Okay. So, why do you want to talk to me? As he says this. Well, I heard that you're able to, create any item that you want. Izuku says this. Yes, I can only make weapons, unfortunately. As he says this. Really? So, I heard in, some text that there's a demon by the name of Astaroth. Apparently, he's a demon that specializes in magic and has unlimited knowledge, right? Ezekiel says this. Oh yeah, my uncle Astaroth. So, what about him? As he says this. Well, um, it's a bit of a secret, so it's better for you to not talk about it. Ezekiel says this. Sure. As David Shield tells him, well, about All Might's injury. As after a little discussion, he says this. So, I want you, Izuku, to basically find a cure for that. Izuku says this. I mean, there is technically a cure, but it's only temporary. As, well, wait for a second. As David says this. So, what is this? Slight change thing. Izuku says this. Well, the only way for you to basically, get that injury out of All Might is by making a pact with a demon. Or, wait for a second. Or All Might should make a pact with a demon. As he says this. Really, as Izuku says this, yeah, there's low-ranking demons, like for example, Ukabaches and Imps, but you can also, make a pact with, like for example, a Hellhound, as he says this. So, what type of demon that's, able to heal? Izuku says this. Well, they're called Kako demons. They're basically servants of Astaroth, my uncle. Absolutely wonderful butlers, by the way. really good. Um, maybe like 5 stars in their opinion. As he says this, so these Kako demons, as Ziku says this, oh yeah, they're able to heal any type of wound, even like for say cancer or for another example, wait for a second, even heal like a broken bone or a damaged cell. It can be anything, but you need to make a pact with it first. So, are you willing to give your soul to one of the demons in hell? Because if you do, you're, well, let's just say you'll be brought to hell and forever trapped there. As, well, David Shield says this, I will gladly do it. Aizuki says this, great. So, I'll just make the arrangement. As David Shield says this, okay, so, while they were talking, a person was, well, eavesdropping. And that person had golden hair. Izuku sensed that, but Izuku doesn't know who it is. So, yeah. So, when Izuku came back to, well, his classmates, Izuku was approached by a girl with, well, um, golden hair. As she says this, nice to meet you, my name is Melissa Shield. Izuku says this, nice to meet you, my name is Izuku. Wait for a second. Just call me Izuku Array. As she says this, nice to meet you, Izuku Array. So, I will be giving the tour of Island. As, All Might and... Wait for a second. All Might and Aizawa said to, well, the rest of his, well, classmates or students, well, that they're gonna be going around basically talking to, well, some people about the party. So, everybody was given a tour by Melissa. So, Melissa was, well, a bit, well, attentive. She talks about, well, the history of Island, pretty much like a, well, a person that does documentaries. I don't know what it's called. So, Izuku, while looking around, Izuku sees a something strange. This thing is some sort of symbol. Izuku knows that it's a pagan symbol, but Izuku doesn't know which pagan god that symbol is basically representative of. Izuku just ignored it and thought it was just some sort of, well, just a weird design choice. So, yeah. So, after, well, a while of, well, touring the, well, Island, well, Melissa says this. Alright, that's basically done. So, it's better for all of you to basically just do whatever you want. Alright, so, everybody starts going around doing whatever they want, but Izuku was just, well, at the cafeteria. I meant cafeteria. Because, well, he was thirsty, so he decides to get some iced tea. While drinking the iced tea, Melissa says this. Oh, Izuku, I didn't know that you were here. Izuku says this. Hello, Miss Melissa. And she says this. Just call me Melissa. You don't need to be so formal. Izuku says this. Um, okay. As Melissa says this. So, I heard that you're a half demon. As Izuku says, just don't tell anybody about it. As she says this. Oh, okay. So, you're a half demon, right? So, is there a way to get a quirk? Izuku says this. Wait, I thought you would probably have a quirk. As she says this. Well, I was born quirkless. As Izuku says this. Then why do you even want a quirk? You're basically the daughter of, well, the most influential, the most influential person ever. As, well, she says this. Well, I'm not satisfied. Izuka says this. Satisfied. As she says this. Yeah. Most people didn't like me just because I'm quirkless, but they only pretend to like me because of my father. I just want to be accepted. As Izuku says this, that's a bit heavy, so I'll just be going off. After I see, he puts it back on, well, the table and goes off. As says this, okay, bye. Melissa, instead of that usual happy smile, it turns into anger and disdain. Izuku doesn't sit because, well, he was too busy. Well, looking around, as Izuku sees a large, well, training area. As Izuku says this, now that seems fun. So, Izuku goes into the training room as it some sort of like mechanical voice says this. Activating wait for a second. Activating training situation. What type of situation do you want it to be in? So, Izuku was given some sort of, well, floating pad. Like an iPad, basically, as Izuku says this. Huh. Izuku looks around, and Izuku finds a background that suits him really goodly. Izuku picks a ruined city, and the enemy that he's going to be fighting is some sort of, well, generic, well, demon or something. Because, well, after, well, learning about Izuku's, well, demon inheritance, well, they decide to make a training area where you're able to basically fight demons, but at the time they didn't know what type of demon ability, so they just picked the most generic, like, demon looking powers that they can think of, basically. Wait for a second. So, yeah. So, Ezekiel was fighting some sort of like generic like demon, like the whole like goat legs, red red skinned man with like pitch. Ezekiel says this. That's a bit racist. I mean, demons in my world are technically a race, so people when they always think of demons in my world, and they would always think of like that red brimstone type guy, the one with like the goat like horns and legs. That's technically racist to them. So when Izuku sees the, well, so-called demon, Izuku was completely insulted. So Izuku starts bashing it around, using his fist to basically start punching it instantly. Izuku starts creating the gauntlets and creating the blades. Izuku stabs into well, the demon, quote unquote, and destroys it instantly. As the echo voice comes back, as it says this. Alright, next situation. So, the broken body of the, well, robot or demon or whatever you're gonna call it basically starts getting carried off by drones. Izuki says this. Boring. So, Izuku leaves as Izuku sees the rest of his classmates basically started arguing. And two of these people are, well, Kaminari and Jiro. Wait for a second. As Izuku says this, what are, why are you both just arguing? As Jiro says, because I just want to get like a brand new CD over there. It has the best songs there. As Kaminari says this, no, we're going to that place. As Izuku looks, and it's just wait for a second and it's a comic book store. I meant a comic book store. Izuku looks at, well, Kaminari as Izuku says this. Wait, you're into comics? As he says this. Yeah, well, manga is not really my thing. I prefer like Western comics. Izuku says this. Really? As both of them say this to Izuku. So, which one should we just go to? As Jiro says this. if you pick the music store, I'll gladly do whatever you want. As for well Kaminari, he says this. If you pick the wait for a second. If you put I meant if you pick the comic book store, I will let you use one of my comic books, please. As Izuku was being bombarded by the choices, Izuku just blurted out, "Well, this. Just pick whatever you want. Just go. Just as both of them say this. Um, okay. So both of them separate as they started going off to their own respective stores. Izuku says this. Thank God. So Izuku, while looking around again, Izuku sees Bakugo basically fighting in one of these well, one of these training rooms. As she starts fighting a projection, or at least like a robot projecting some sort of villain, like a generic like bad guy. As Izuku was watching her, well, Izuku was approached by a little girl. As she says this, "Wow, she looks powerful." Izuku says this, "Are you lost, kid?" As she says this, "No, mommy, she's watching me over there." As Izuku looks behind them and sees nobody, Izuku says this, "I don't see your mommy, little girl." As the girl is gone, as Izuku says this, th- it's probably just some sort of like little quirk or something. Izuku feels something unusual. It's definitely not well something well like a quirk. It seems to be more magical. Izuku says this. Probably something like a yokai is here. So, Izuku, after Bakugo finishes her fight, she looks as she sees Izuku there, as she starts getting all embarrassed because while in the fight she was talking about Izuku well well basically she was just spitting out like she was completely in love with Izuku, but thankfully basically the training area, it's basically soundproof, and also it's basically a one-way mirror, like a one-way glass. So one side being the one that's basically for spectators, you're basically able to basically see through it and look at the trainee, and for the other side it's basically well it's not clear at that side, the one for training. So she comes out with a big like really red face. Izuku says this, "Are you a bit tired, Buck?" As she says this, "I'm leaving. That was just boring." She goes back to their room. Izuku says this, "Weird." So after going back to the fountain, Izuku was just And by the way, the fountain is where they met David Shield and Melissa, basically. So Izuku was just well just doing whatever he wants. As Izuku looks at the fountain, as Izuku says this, guess I'll do it then. Izuku gets one of his gold coins and basically throws it into the pond. And Izuku wishes for a great party. So yeah, wait for a second. So after doing that, Izuku feels heavenly energy. As Izuku looks, Izuku sees a woman wearing pure white armor with gold trimming. She wields a staff. The staff wields fire. As she says this, You you killed Kamael. As Izuku says this, "Who are you exact?" As she throws a fireball at Izuku. Izuku says this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? Wait a minute. Izuku says this. So one of the archangels, right? She says this. Yes, they call me your flame. And you, son of Azazel, you're gonna pay for killing him. As she starts charging towards Izuku, as Izuku dodges it, as Izuku creates his halberd, and basically using the spear end and throws it at her. She creates a firewall which burns his halberd. Izuku creates another one as Izuku uses the axe end to basically start bashing on her. She starts dodging them because of her fire ability or fire powers. She starts turning into a fireball, basically swirling around Izuku, creating a circle of fire which Izuku can't come through or basically get out of there because it's holy fire which burns demons. As Izuku says this, God dang it, it's heavenly fire. As she says this, it's time for you to die, Nephilim. For your sins, you're nothing more than a disgusting disgrace. A disgusting disgrace to God's creations. As she starts charging, charging towards Izuku with her, staff in hand, getting ready to use the fire end to basically kill Izuku. As when she was about to, kill Izuku, well, All Might grabs the woman's head as she says this, get off of me. I'm the saving you from this monster, as he says this. So, young Midoriya, who is this girl? I meant girl. As Izuki says this, I'm guessing she was one of the seven archangels. Apparently her name was Uriel. As he says this. Really? Huh. So, he basically reels up his hand and says this. Almighty Smash! As literally, All Might just yeeted her, like, as far as he can. As, when he did that, just imagine, like, Uriel being flung, like literally, like Team Rocket, like, we're blasting off again. That's basically like that. Just imagine that. So, as when All Might did that, Aizawa arrived. As Aizawa says this, what the heck happened? Izuku says this, Uriel attacked me. She said she wanted revenge or something. As, Aizawa says this, okay, so what happened to as All Might starts hyperventilating as he transforms back into his, weak might or form. As Izuku says this, so I'm guessing that you're using your powers too much. As he says this, yes. As Izuku says this, just rest now. So, after bringing All Might back to the hotel with, Aizawa, Aizawa says this. Alright, Izuku, you can leave now. Izuku says this. Yeah, I was planning to leave anyway. So, after Izuku left that room, Izuku decides to, wait for a second again. Izuku decides to basically go to a little restaurant in Island. Apparently, it's pretty good there. So, when Izuku arrives, Izuku sees the rest of his classmates there. As, Kaminari says this. Hey, Izuku, you made it! Izuku says this. Oh, I didn't know that you're actually planning to go here, says Izuku. As Mina says this. Yeah, we just wanted to come here just because of the food. As, when Izuku looks over, Izuku sees just imagine this. You just see Ochako just, shoving all of the food in her mouth. Yeah, just imagine that. Izuku says this. Damn, she can probably even rival Beelzebub as well, eating eating. As well, Izuku looks over as Izuku sees, Momo eating as well. And while he, gets ready to order food, Izuku sees Bakugo. As Bakugo says this, "Oh, hey nerd." Izuku says this, "So, what do you think of the, restaurant?" As she says this, "Huh, not bad." She starts eating like a steak as Izuku orders, this. Izuku orders a, mac and cheese, like those expensive ones, and also some lobsters. So, when Izuku gets them, Izuku gets like a big mac and cheese, like a big mac and cheese bowl, like bowl. As Izuku also has like two lobsters right beside it. As Izuku starts chowing down. So, everybody was like completely happy, like eating together. As Izuku says to himself, feels absolutely nice. It reminds me back in the day, back when I was in hell, during Thanksgiving. It reminds me of that. Izuku felt a little bit happy. As, well, wait for a second. As Bako said this, "Hey nerd, are you even eating that last piece of lobster?" As Izuku says this, "No, you can have it." As she says this, "Cool." She starts chowing down on the lobster as she says this. "Whoa, it tastes absolutely good. You actually got some good taste, Izuku." And Izuku says this. Thank you." So, after eating, they started going off to, go back to their, hotel as they basically go to sleep. So, yeah. So, let's go back to the perspective of, Uriel. So, Uriel was, flinged over and was brought to a little, like, desert island. As she says this, "Why that? God gave him that gift, and he dared throw me away like a little rapper." As Uriel stands up, as she says this, "Ezekiel Array, I shall find you and kill you. I shall kill you because you corrupted them, including the number one hero. You shall pay for that sin. Son of Azazel, you will die, you pathetic Nephilim. You shall die." She brings out her, staff as it creates a flame that burns the entire island to ashes. As she starts flying and goes back to Island to seek her vengeance. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.